So today we are going to start from the very basics. Small beginners kits from GearBest. It costs about $11. Now they call this clear plastic padlock a practice lock. It's not. It's just a visual aid. This is so you see and understand how the lock works. In lockpicking, it's about touch. Once you know how the lock works, you have to do everything by feel. So you need to practice by feel as soon as you can, or you learn bad habits. Also, these locks are made of acrylic, which quickly gets destroyed by the picking process. Also, the tar ones are not very good, so they're too easy to pick and give bad habits. But when you first buy it, yes, pick your transparent lock a few times so you understand what the process is and how the lock picks work. Here, watch. Okay, now I'm going to use a hook pick. I'll apply medium tension to the 5th and 4th pin up to the shear line. See how they move too easily. Boom. But as I said, this is meaningless as practice. It's just to get a picture in your mind so that your hands, your fingers can follow later. So how to practice properly? Just go out and buy some locks and get to work? Probably not. Fortunately, they sell practice locks where you can set the number of pins starting from 1 and going up to 7. Then you can add more complicated types of pins like mushrooms, spools, and serrated pins, but we won't get into that today. There's a technique called raking. That's when you quickly move the pick over the pins. It's kind of like breaking a password by flowing a bunch of random numbers that did really fast. The rake bounces the pins around, and a lot of the time they bounce into just the right place and the lock opens. It's a good way to initially try to open a lock, but it's really hard on practice locks and I don't want to wear mine out. Raking is of course a skill you need to learn though. I just like to focus on single pin picking most of the time. Here are 2 practice locks. The Ultimate Adversary practice lock and the Easy Ricky practice lock. Here, let me show you. Cool, right? Not really. If I slide it open, you see there are only 2 pins in there. This is actually really fun for parties because you can pass the lock around and almost anybody can open it and get a feel for things. You can pass it around, and if everyone can do 2 pins, you add a 3rd. It's a good way to get people interested in security and DIY who might otherwise not care. But what if you can't get your hands on a practice lock or they're too expensive? Well, you can save a bit by making your own. Here's how. If you don't want to buy a practice lock, you can actually make them for yourself. You can buy cheap locks like this. Just make sure there's a sliding thing on the top so that you can dump out the pins and go through them and maybe change it to different orders. I already have 1 pin in this one. I'm going to dump out the pins in this one and make sure there's only 2 pins in here. Now I'm going to put this lock in the Y's. Then I'm going to put my thumb, try to slide up. This video is sponsored by Creality 3D, makers of the Ender 3 3D printer. Check the description box for more info. So, what about, real lock picking? Well, what I do is I focus on cheap wafer locks, looks like this. This kind of locks are used to secure cabinets, desk drawers, and small lock boxes. Being able to open those quickly without damaging them is something you can learn to do consistently in just a few hours. And if you ever really need your lockpicking skills in the real world, those are probably the sort of locks that will be most useful opened. Alright. That's it for today. If you check the description box, I have links to the gearbest lockpick set and all the products I talked about today. If you are interested in locksport and security and would like another video, please let me know in the comments section. Please subscribe and remember, if I can do it, anyone can do it.